I paid £50 for this faulty Nintendo Switch off of eBay. And the idea of this video is pretty simple. I'm going to try and fix it and sell it for a profit. And to be honest, my hopes are quite high with this one because the condition of it isn't too bad. We even have a kickstand. Can you imagine? Usually when I purchase Nintendo Switches, I'll be lucky to get one screw. This one actually seems to have all of the screws in place. We have a screw here, we have the 2 on the bottom by the charging port here, and of course all the ones on the rails, and the 4 tri-wings at the sides. The eBay listing states, screen will not power up, no response, soldered seen. Faulty, no power. On first inspection in the charging port, you can see that the clasp looks broken towards the top side, but I can't see any bent pins. So in that case, let's plug the ammeter in. This little device will give me a good indication of what the fault is on the switch before we actually end up having to take it apart, etc. Let's plug it in and see what we get. Zilch. Nothing. Nada. So what I like to do in that instance, because we're getting absolutely nothing, I will take a closer look at the switch port. You can see there's a couple of pins that look slightly misaligned on the right side there, but I don't know if that would actually cause an issue as to why we get no reading on the ammeter whatsoever. Usually nothing showing on the ammeter usually indicates a bad charging port, not making a connection with the actual board. Yeah, you can see it's a little bit loose inside, see that? How it's moving up and down the plastic. I've seen enough. Let's take the switch apart and see what's going on the inside. The good news so far is that we don't have any signs of liquid damage, and we can tell by this little polka dot indicator here, so that is a thumbs up through my mangled glove. On the glove note, some people do ask me why I wear these gloves. Supposedly they are anti-static, don't quote me on that, but I'm also buying devices from eBay. I don't know where these devices have been, so for me it's nice to be able to wear something to protect my hands from germs and whatever else might be living in some of these machines. Dare I say it, but so far so good. We may have an actual genuine seller on eBay. The board is in pretty good condition. Some people might be like, what do you mean genuine seller? When you buy from eBay, a lot of the time it's not what you ask for, especially when it comes to faulty goods. Here we have the charging port, and we're just gonna nudge all of the pins to make sure that they all have a solid connection still, which by the looks of it they do. And this is that water indicator I was explaining to you earlier, a little bit closer up. Just flipping it over to see, it's definitely factory, and that's what we were talking about when we said that the clasp has come away from the bracket. Doesn't seem to be any visible damage straight off the bat. If we look at M92T36, anything, again, no visible damage around the BQ area, the charging IC. Save that as something to eat. It looks like a really nice sweet for later. BQ chip also looks fine. And here's another look inside the port now that we've got the case off. And again, it doesn't look too bad. Let's get out the multimeter and do some testing. We have our meter in continuity mode, which is a mode that beeps when we have a completed circuit. First off, I'm going to test the fuse itself, because if the fuse goes bust, that could also bring us nothing on the ammeter, I'm pretty sure. So let's check the fuse. Okay, the fuse is fluctuating, so it's up and down. I didn't get an initial beep straight off the bat, and now it's a little bit delayed. It's coming up as 1 ohm now, but it is fluctuating up and down. See, look, now it's at 500 ohms, 600 ohms, back down to around about 2 ohms. That is very strange. Okay, so I will bear that in mind. We go up to M92 as well. What I should do is remove the port first of all, but I do just want to check and see if we've got any shorts on M92. Yes, we do. One there, one there. Okay, so these 2 caps are shorted. This one also is shorted. This one isn't. This one isn't, which usually means that P13 USB on the back is fine. CPU cap, okay, good. CPU cap is fine. I've done a video on a switch light recently where this exact same cap, but on a switch light, was shorted to ground. I'll leave that video in the top right hand corner of the screen right now. If we go down to the BQ charging chip, same in continuity mode, and just check the capacitors, we're looking for a beep on one side of a cap, not both sides. Both sides would indicate a short to ground, and they're all fine. Very rarely I've seen actually the BQ charging chip fails. And just to confirm, like I said before, I don't think P13 USB is shorted either. No, it's not. So we have a beep this side, no beep this side. I'm just going to test this fuse again. Seeing as I've not poked it for a while, I wonder if I get continuity pretty much straight away now. I do. So it does beep almost instantly now when I go back onto it. I wonder if this charging port has caused the issue with M92 and this fuse here took the brunt of the pain, which is why maybe it's like in a bit of a sleep mode at the moment. I think what we'll do is we'll take off the charging port itself. I'll quickly go back and test M92T36, but this is going to have to be swapped anyway, and then we'll go from there. So let's do that now. We'll go with a temperature of 470 degrees Celsius with an airflow speed of 99% just to get the port off of the board because it uses unleaded solder. That was a nice clean pull, so what we're going to do now is just clean away some of this flux that you might see on it, on the board itself, just with some isopropyl alcohol and a cotton swab. And by the looks of it, no rip pads, but I will confirm. We'll add some more flux to this area because we're going to add leaded solder now just to clean it all up and get it completely empty. I'm actually using a knife tip in this video. A lot of people rant and rave about a knife tip because of how big it is, the surface area, and the amount of heat that you can transfer from this iron to the board should make things a little bit easier. Turn the extractor fan on. I may have cheated and just used the solder sucker. The tip that I was using, this absolute monstrosity, is just way too big for a Nintendo Switch. I then switched over to this tip, but sometimes it just doesn't cut it. If I applied hot air to this as well as using the soldering iron, I would have been fine. But sometimes the solder sucker just does the job for me a lot better. Now we have the port off, I'm just gonna check the fuse and see if we get instant continuity, which we do. I think that fuse is fine. We got up to M92, do we still have the same shorts? It was this one, not this one, this one. Yeah, so the three that we have are exactly the same. That one's fine, that one's okay, and CPU cap is also fine. So let's remove M92T36 and replace that now as well. All right, tiny bit of flux for this part, just here is enough. 470 degrees Celsius, 99% airflow. Bosh. We're just gonna mix leaded solder with unleaded, so I'm just gonna apply my flux just all around here. Get my soldering iron, which is tinned with leaded solder, and just run it over the pads that we have around M92. Perfect. Dab in the middle. Come on, just need a tiny bit. Come on, tiny, 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 tiny bit. Bop. Perfect. That's fine, plenty. We need more flux, and put the air down to 50%, and we should see this chip now just dance into place. Very shaky for me today. Here it goes, ready? Want to go up? Come on. Jeez, I don't want to play ball today. Alright, let's just move it up, shall we? Just there. Come on. Even goes to show that I've done these a few times now, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. Just remember, be patient, because if you panic, that's when you start knocking components off. Trying to push it back up just a little bit. See, look, it's dancing around. Why are you dancing today so much? Poke up this way. Push it, push it, push it. There we go. Okay. I'm going to keep it there and I'm going to push it down because I feel like the solder underneath is what's causing this issue. So I'm going to push the chip down and we're going to get the squeeze. There's a squeeze. Now I'm going to turn the board around and just give it a nudge from this side. Too much. Okay. There we go. I think it's a little bit happier. And then we'll come in for the push down. And we should be okay. We'll check it in a sec. Clean with some isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush. Get rid of all the flux that we've just been using. Drench the board with flux. We need to clean it all the way down here as well somehow. Look, flux does that as well. It just makes it its way around the board and just gets in everywhere. Just quickly put some more flux on to do a finishing touch. It does look a little bit wonky, but I will confirm in a sec. We'll look together. Push this up. There we go. Okay, should be fine. Now we bring in the toothbrush, clean around the chip just so we can check our work. Like I said, I've done a few of these now and you know, it's not perfect every time. You have good days, you have bad days. You have good chips, you have bad chips. Let's have a look. How are we looking? Are we all connected to the pads? Yes, we are. That side looks hunky-dory. This side looks hunky-dory, but I can see a bridge here between these two caps, so we'll get that sorted. This side, all good. Look at that, there we go. And finally, the last side over here. Are we okay? Yes, we are. So even though the chip looks a little bit wonky here, maybe it's just my eyes, we've done a good job. Best way to deal with this bridge, I've done it a few times, just a little bit of flux, and just go straight in with a wick and just get rid of the bridge. There we go. and then you can just touch around here. There we go, perfect. Previously I would have spent ages trying to just use my iron to get rid of the bridge. I think it's 10 times easier just to get the wick. Now it's multimeter time again. We're going to check for those shorts around M92, make sure they're gone. Check these ones up here. You'll hear a beep on this side, because that's ground, but this side shouldn't be ground. All good. All good. CPU cap fine. Nice, all shorts gone. Now let's put another port on. With the switch port, I like to tin everything first, as well as the holes, the ground holes. I like to put solder in there and then just drop the port in place after heating it up. So we put some flux on, soldering iron. Put my fume extractor on, shouldn't I? And there we go, nice and tinned. Clean off the flux that we have here. Ready for our new port. Just gonna melt some of this flux. It's got sticky. Makes it 10 times easier to clean up if you reheat it. I used to tin the pins on the connector for the USB-C port, but I don't do that anymore because I find that usually it creates a good enough bond just by prepping the board itself. So for this we go 450 degrees Celsius with an airflow speed of 50%. And we add plenty of flux to be able to help with the flow of solder. Every single pin is solid, which is a rarity on this. Usually I have to go over one or two of them, but every single one seems to be solid. That's a result. And you can see the solder pushing through as well, which is nice and secure on the port. Maybe missing a little bit here, but again, nothing too bad. You can see it coming through. This side, not as much as probably the other one over here, but a very, very secure and good port swap. As you know, give it a clean with some isopropyl alcohol and a cotton swab. Just make sure we're all clean. Lovely jubbly, look at that. Really, really nice, clean, tidy job. Should we test it? I don't know how many times I've actually tried to do a Nintendo Switch port swap, but for those who are new to the channel, rewind a couple of months back and you'll see how much I messed those ports up on a regular basis. Couldn't get the technique down, but all I'd done was practice, practice, practice. If you're struggling with doing the ports or any other part of soldering work, just be patient with yourself. Sometimes all you need is just to take a little step away, whether it be 5, 10, 15 minutes, even 30 minutes, sometimes even the next day or next week, but just give yourself a little break, but don't give up. I still get them really wrong, but to see the difference of where I am with my soldering capabilities now compared to where I was this time last year, if I could do it, anyone can. And that is just about the most incorrect amount of thermal pasta. Give the screen a little bit of a wipe down with some isopropyl alcohol, make sure it's nice and clean. I don't know if this works yet, so we could be cleaning it for nothing. And for some of the people who are just about to write in the comments and say, but Joey, you've put the console back together before you've tested it. To that I say, in the words of Little Britain, yeah, well, because it adds to the tension. I know it sounds silly. Do we get anything on the ammeter first of all? We do. What do we get? 0.08. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Come on. We have the charging symbol at the top left. 0.16 amp draw though. This should actually be around 0.42 on normal charge and then jump up from anywhere to I think about an amp or so, 1 amp. But in order for fast charging to happen, the battery needs more juice. So it's 0.16 at the moment. I think that's going to go up to 0.42 in a second. I'm just going to place it down and leave it for a minute or two. We have a bit more charge now, and as you can see, it's gone up to 0.74 amps, which would suggest fast charging. So let's turn it on. There we go. Okay, sweet. We have 9% battery, which is good. Touchscreen works. That's a plus. No parental controls. Let's go. It's a really worrying thing when you buy Nintendo Switches from eBay. Sometimes they have parental lock on them. The system update is required for this game. Okay, fine, but it recognizes that there's a cartridge, so I'm going to guess it's okay. I'll do that off camera. Does it recognize an SD card? Yes, it does. Perfect. And most importantly, the Joy-Cons work. That one clicked and paired. This one clicked and paired. Nice. Look at that. Oh, yes, that's what I'm talking about. And it might be quite difficult to see, but they are charging as well, the Joy-Cons. And that's when you see the amperage go up to 1.04 now. Amperage, is that even a word? Amperage. It sounds like it's a word. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, you'll enjoy this one where I try and fix some more Nintendo Switches. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.